Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you something really quickly before we get started with a discussion about American politics and why President Trump was just as accurate and as truthful as Democrats who spent 4 years blaming Russia without any evidence simply because of a dossier they literally purchased their own myth. And then they pontificate about truth and reason and logic and honesty. They railroaded Bernie Sanders. They can't even have their own functioning primary work in a normal manner. They can't even have their own primary work in a functioning normal manner. They then purchased the Steele dossier, which was a compilation of lies and absurd fantasies. And they speculated for 4 years using baseless claims to disparage Trump. And every time they were caught with a baseless claim, they said, well, you know what? James Clapper or John Brennan, they agree that we should be suspicious of Trump, so it's not really a baseless claim. It's not a baseless allegation if John Brennan or the intelligence services or media thinks it's suspicious. Suspicion is only allowed to be leveled by one political side. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel. Eric H526, thank you so very much. Everybody here, thank you for watching. JG, hello. Everyone here, thank you again. Kristen, hello. G-Man, hello. If you want to support my work, ladies and gentlemen, the Patreon is below, and the super chat is below. If you want to talk about this or any topic, let me know. I want to show you something that you are going to absolutely love, and then we're going to get into exactly why Democrats are petrified. Look at this 538 chart on favorability or on whether Trump and Biden are favorable or unfavorable, or the favorability ratings, okay? Now, you can look. President Trump is, as of January 11, 2022, 44.1% of Americans have a favorable view of President Trump. 51.9% don't. But you have to understand that everybody from Jimmy Kimmel, Trevor Noah, Stephen Colbert, The Washington Post, The New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, intelligence operatives like John Brennan and James Clapper, every social media algorithm, you have a concerted effort, you have a public relations monstrosity leveled against Trump, and 44.1% of Americans, 44.1% of Americans have a favorable view of Trump as of January 11th. And it says right here, 42.9 in aggregate. Now, Joe Biden, 42.5. Why is that the case, ladies and gentlemen? Go ahead right here. How popular is Joe Biden? Or how unpopular is Joe Biden? 42.5 compared to 42, actually compared to over 44%. So 42.5% of Americans approve of Biden, who is being propped up by every single social media algorithm, every single comedian on late night, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah, John Oliver. I mean, everyone on the planet, Everyone on the planet is trying to prop up Joe Biden, and he still has 52.1% disapproval. I mean, you can't make this up. He has an entire system propping him up. And you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where this is the best. Like, he doesn't have Build Back Better. That's been completely torpedoed by Joe Manchin. Then the Supreme Court dealt him another devastating defeat. The economy is not going to. We're heading towards a stock market crash. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. That'll be below in the pinned comment. But I talk about that all the time. We have a broken supply chain. It's getting worse. We have key labor shortages. We have inflation that is, well, retail sales were down, and inflation that is running rampant, and still Biden has 42.5% approval. And here you have 43.3% or 42.9% President Trump in terms of favorability ratings. Okay? And you look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like Trump has better numbers. And you can say, well, this is presidential approval compared to this is presidential approval compared to favorability ratings. Well, let's see. Okay, hold on one second. So, okay. Let's see, Trump approval rating 2021 538. So 44%. It says one poll here says 44% approval for Joe Biden. Yeah, I don't believe that at all. A lot closer to 38%. Rasmussen poll, 41%. But where is Trump? So here you have latest polls. Trump, the Rasmussen has 46% Trump, 40% Biden, if I'm reading this right. This is all public relations anyway, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. January 13th, 2022, general election. 41, 41, 43, 41, 37, 39, 39, 38. The fact that President Trump is even competitive, okay? The fact that President Trump is even competitive, latest polls, shows exactly the problem that that Biden has. One year in, Biden's approval rating is in trouble. And it says only Trump's was lower, but of course 538 doesn't take into context exactly why Trump's was lower. Trump's was lower because he was being accused of something he didn't do. And everything he said was magnified. David! HA, you are growing your channel like a beautiful flower. Kudos. Thank you. David Von Kettering, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, David. Greatly appreciated. So this article goes on to talk about Biden, Trump, President Obama, Bush, and Clinton. But what they don't tell you is that none of these presidents had their own intelligence agencies set them up and frame them. They didn't go into the White House being set up and framed by intelligence operatives who were clearly not only partisan, practically working for the Democratic Party. Eric H526, thank you very, very much. By the way, Eric has um, a gaming channel. If you're into games and video games, definitely subscribe to his channel. Eric H526 does great work. And so, let's see. So this is Trump favorability. Let's look really quickly. So here you have 1 year in standing is only better than Trump's. Trump is at 39%. It says Biden's at 42 in this graph. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. Currently, Trump has a higher favorability rating. But 1 year into Trump's presidency, he was being investigated by a special counsel that was created in part because of an FBI director and his memos where Trump asked for loyalty. So I mean, they lied all the time, and then they get to then they start talking about his lies in Arizona, and it's like, well, Trump made claims. If you want to say that he lied, he made claims that didn't have direct evidence about certain topics. The same way they didn't have any direct evidence when they made claims about Trump and Russia. The difference is that Comey's memos were deemed as evidence. His memos were deemed as evidence. That's the issue here. His memos were deemed as evidence, and the entire American political establishment wasn't leveled at any other president. So let's look at Joe Biden. Biden favorability. Okay, so favorability ratings 538. Trump was never very popular. Yes, he was. He was very popular. 73 million Americans. When you have endless negative media coverage, yeah, he was very popular. Then Biden doesn't have a popularity problem. That might help him win. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Biden always had a popular. Anyway, we're tracking Trump and Harris's popularity ahead of 2024. Let's see what. Let's see. Currently, 41.4% of Americans have a favorable opinion of the former president. That's a little different from. Oh, that's okay. So it's only gotten better. Because if you look, Trump, his favorability is 44.1%. That's only gotten better. So this is Trump's favorability. Americans have a favorable, unfavorable view of Trump. 52.9% unfavorable, 42.9% favorable. So let's look at all here. Donald Trump favorability. So it has approval. Joe Biden's approval rating is lower than Trump's favorability rating. Okay. So But here I'm trying to what's Biden's favorability rating? All right. So anyway, my point, favorability ratings, let's see here. Why is it so impossible to get? Where's Biden's favorability rating? Let's just Biden's favorability rating. Favorability, Joe Biden. So this is all right. So let's see. 39% favorable. Oh Lord, who we have somewhat of there we go. It's still I'm trying to find anyway. Anyway, the point is 45 No, it's not 40. 45% of Americans don't approve of Biden. That's absurd. Anyway, the point is this is why when they talk about Trump in Arizona and they make a big deal, and then you have an article here, New York Times Friedman ripped for suggesting Biden Cheney 2024 ticket, the worst timeline. Why would you talk about Liz Cheney? And so if somebody says, well, you're comparing Biden's approval with Trump's favorability, it's like, well, that is a fair comparison considering that he's propped up by media Biden and Trump, the opposite, is torn apart by media every day and social media algorithms. There's things you can't even, if you could actually talk about certain subjects, Trump would be even more popular. Trump is more popular. Trump has more Americans with a favorable rating of him, according to polls, than Americans who approve of Joe Biden. So 20 minutes in or so, 20 minutes in, 17 minutes in, you can look and you can say, okay, well, at least you can look and say Trump, even though all of media is against this man, has more Americans who like him than the number of people who approve of Joe Biden. And that says a lot considering that all of media is after Trump, and all of media is trying to prop up and protect Biden. For example, when the story about Hunter Biden's emails broke, we couldn't talk about it right before. We could not talk about it right before November. So, and we can't look. There are numerous topics that we can't talk about freely. Because if Democrats did not have the ability to censor and stifle discussion, if they did not have the ability to censor and stifle discussion, they would be even more unpopular. Biden would be even more unpopular. But here, New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman was ruthlessly mocked after he floated the possibility that President Biden could dump Vice President Kamala Harris and select Liz Cheney as his running mate. That would be the most absurd combination. You have mashed potato brains and the neocon, or the never Trumper. Why? See, this is the thing. Thomas Friedman is, this, well-known, prestigious, very respected New York Times columnist and author, and what would compel this man to think that Cheney would appease anyone who voted for Trump? 73 million Americans would not vote for Liz Cheney, or maybe a certain percentage would, but she's even getting kicked out of the GOP in Wyoming, or they almost kicked her out. Why would they have this fantasy in their mind? That's why when Trump speaks in Arizona or anywhere, they yell at the top of their lungs, he's lying, he's lying. And all 73 million Americans say, well, you lie more. If Democrats always believe in this relative world where, you know what, vote blue no matter who, because we might not be perfect, but we're better than Trump. Well, in a way, there's the same mentality. And also, Trump actually gives something to his voters, unlike Democrats. We have high inflation, runaway inflation. It's a tax on the poor. Biden wouldn't even give student loan relief. So you had all of these people pushing left-leaning policies. They weren't talking about infrastructure. Okay? Give me a YouTube channel or give me a pundit on the left that was talking about infrastructure for the past 4 years. They weren't. They were talking about Medicare for all, Green New Deal, student loan forgiveness. None of these things are being addressed by Biden. Maybe you could say climate change, yes, but it's like we have fossil fuels at record highs. If he's addressing climate change, why are fossil fuels at record highs? It was Democratic Party policies that shut down the economy, and that's in large part what caused fossil fuels, oil, coal, natural gas to be at record highs. With Trump, when Trump was president, we had hundreds of thousands of new manufacturing jobs. Like 300,000 to 500,000 was the estimate. You had 200,000 lost under President Obama. That's one example of Trump giving exactly what his base or what his voters wanted. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea. He negotiated the Doha Agreement. Herschel Ballard, thank you. Thank you, Herschel. Thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated, Herschel. Thank you. Thank you, Herschel Ballard. Thank you to my super chat. Thank you so much. So then, Friedman writes, is that what America needs in 2024? A ticket of Joe Biden and Liz Cheney, or Joe Biden and Lisa Murkowski? Where in what planet is this man, like, Herschel, thank you again. On what planet are these New York Times writers living on? Like, what planet are they living on? That makes no sense at all. That makes absolutely no sense at all. Why would anyone think that you could replace, that you can offer some kind of, like, you could stop, you could address the polarized nature of politics by making things even more polarized. Replacing Kamala Harris with Mitt Romney would actually, it would not only hurt the Democratic Party, it would further alienate any Never Trump, it would draw an even greater or more profound delineation between Never Trump Republicans and people who vote for Trump. 73 million Americans. This is what happens, and this is why you get to these Trump rally underscores GOP tensions on how to win in 2022. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. Donald Trump's rally in Arizona on Saturday featured a host of deniers. Did the New York Times ever publish an article, Trump Russia accusations underscore Democratic tensions over how to win in 2020? Not one Democrat, maybe one or two. Not one Democrat ever said, yeah, the Steele dossier was completely fabricated. Everyone walked in lockstep. The Steele dossier was far more egregious than any of Trump's viewpoints pertaining to the results last year. And then you could say, well, his viewpoints led to, you know what? Go look at the interaction between the FBI representative in Congress during her testimony and Ted Cruz, who, by the way, only asked the right questions because he was forced to, because he pandered to one political viewpoint, then had to pander back to the Trump Republican political viewpoint. Mark, thank you. Hello. So you got to ask yourself this in this political context. Okay, within this political environment, you can have one side suppress dialogue. We cannot talk about Trump has better favorability ratings than Biden's approval ratings. Okay, his favorability is higher than Biden's approval ratings. Imagine if we could talk about topics without being completely and utterly silenced. Imagine if we could have talked about Hunter Biden, before we were given the opportunity now to do so. Imagine if we could talk about, what? Imagine if we could talk about the results that Trump doesn't agree with. Imagine if Republicans in general cared about the possibility of intelligence operatives on that fateful day, because the FBI didn't deny anything. In fact, their ambiguous. We can't address this. Ted Cruz asked, how many FBI agents were there that day? I'm sorry, sources and methods. What? How about none? If you could say none, just say none. If you could say some, say some. Give, sources and methods regarding what? I mean, there should be a law. This is ridiculous. There should be a law. You can't just simply fall back on sources and methods. What's the point of even having a congressional testimony? Were there intelligence operatives there trying to foment a catastrophic day? Yes or no? You already know that one political side has the backing of intelligence organizations. Okay, you already know one political side has the backing of intelligence organizations. It's not a stretch. It's not a stretch to say, to ask, okay, well, what was the role of certain intel departments on that day? The FBI representative shed a spotlight on the potential for a whole lot of things we could never imagine, or things perhaps we could imagine but didn't know about. Media has no interest at all. That's what I mean. How do you have Trump? You have President Trump with 42.9% favorability and Biden at 42.5% approval rating. His favorability is probably far lower than his approval rating. I'm not really sure if they're interchangeable, or they're according to pollsters, they're the exact same thing, but they're probably similar, probably close in terms of what the poll numbers represent. which a lot of the poll numbers are a reflection of media coverage. That's what it is, a reflection of media coverage. And he says Stacey Abrams and Liz Cheney, Amy Klobuchar and Liz Cheney. Amy Klobuchar dropped out after the third or fourth primary, I think. Immediately. Right before the Minnesota primary, which was hilarious. She dropped out. Why would Amy Klobuchar not at least in 2020 want to compete for the Minnesota primary? Oh, that's right. It's the Democratic primary. Okay, it's preordained. The most storied institution, this is Rolling Stone. It's like, well, what's the difference between Rolling Stone and New York Times? Or what's the difference between Rolling Stone, New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the Washington Post? They're all the same. It's everything is Trump bad, Biden good, or protect Biden at all costs. So they're all going after him, but it's like at the end of the day, the one thing Thomas Friedman is right about is that they could put Liz Cheney. You would have all the left-leaning socialists. If Liz Cheney was the one thing that's truthful is the following. If Liz Cheney was on a Democratic ticket, you would definitely have even the furthest, even the most, the edgiest socialist Twitch user, left-leaning pundit. Travis, you need to see. Oh, I know. Exactly. Kyle Dunnigan is awesome. He is so good. He is so good. Kyle Dunnigan is so good. He is so good. The fact that they even think that Liz Cheney is a viable, like, the fact that they believe the people who okay, 73 million Americans voted for Trump, but they think that Liz Cheney can save the world from Trump because she happens to be a never Trump Republican. She might as well be Nancy Pelosi, a never Trump Republican, or Adam Kinzinger, like Liz Cheney. They might as well be Nancy Pelosi to Trump, to people who vote for Trump. So it's just so bizarre. Like, it's this the inability. It's just a complete inability. Travis, thank you again. It's just this complete inability to accept the fact that people like Trump. They can't accept the fact. They can't possibly accept the fact that 73 million Americans like Trump. They always have to treat. They always have to treat President Trump as this, like, anomaly, like this otherworldly monster. They can't accept the fact. They just simply cannot accept the fact that people like him. And if Republicans, I'll say this: my viewpoint regarding President Trump hasn't changed. He runs, I believe he'll be victorious. Now, the only thing I'll say is the following: if they're successful in suppressing news stories and banning any conversation, or suppressing or silencing any conversation regarding very important topics where Trump's viewpoint is more popular than the mainstream viewpoint, then they could, and some other things take place, then they could successfully, I could see them successfully keeping Trump out of office. But also, I mean, if he doesn't make any strategic errors in terms of, pushing the envelope in terms of saying certain things, I mean, it's like if he's just a bit more diplomatic, the focus will be on Biden. Okay, they tried to make all about Trump, and more people lost their lives under Biden. Then Biden says there's no federal solution. It's like, well, yeah, that's interesting. When it was Trump, when Trump was thank you, Eric H526, thank you. When Trump was in office, everything was his fault. Everything was Trump's fault. Okay, now Biden has everything from inflation, which is running rampant, to consumer confidence, retail sales. I mean, the economy is barely functioning. The only reason we have positive numbers here and there is because we're allowed to actually have an economy. That's why I'm telling you there's going to be a stock market crash. That's the reason. I'm telling you there's going to be a stock market crash. That's the reason. Because you're allowing an economy to function, and then you're saying, "Oh, look, look, our economy is actually functioning, and we have in aggregate positive numbers. GDP growth looks like we're really moving forward." It's like, well, yeah, because you stifled the economy, you shut down economic activity, and then you suddenly opened the tap back up. You suddenly allowed economic activity to flourish. By then, it was too late. We had too many problems already, from a broken global supply chain to inflation to shortages in key labor shortages in key industries. So, sign, thank you. Seeing it to Lupin, thank you. It's not really like a happy holiday, I guess you could say. It would be like not really a holiday kind of, maybe a very sad kind of affair because the temple was um, destroyed, but that's a whole other topic. There's like it's very kind of a funny, not funny, but like story I have about somebody explaining that to me in a funny way. Anyway, one of my uncles. Anyway, it's just kind of, I don't know. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Um, so here you have Donald Trump's rally in Arizona on Saturday featured a host of deniers. His involvement in state races and his inability to let go of his 2020 loss worries many Republicans. This is a more tame, nuanced type of propaganda. It doesn't worry any Republicans who have no problem voting for President Trump. It worries never Trump Republicans or people concerned with media coverage. Yeah, those Republicans it worries. And this is the thing, like if they don't If they don't, if the Republican Party doesn't ensure that intelligence operatives, the same ones they couldn't talk about, who might have possibly been there in January, but we don't know because sources and methods. If the Republican Party doesn't address the fact that you have government agencies in bed with Democrats, um, then I mean it's gonna be an uphill climb. You know what's taking place. You know what's taking place. What's taking place is that Trump keeps growing in popularity. Mashed potato brains keeps falling, descending into this abyss. You can't really like who in this country is saying that Biden is a great president? How is he a good president? I think what was it? Somebody said recently he's like the best president. Let's see here. Biden, best president, lifetime. uh, is Joe Biden doing a good job? Let's talk about it. I guess there was like one. Okay, so inflation. Let's look at. So if this was Trump, it would be like Trump's Russia. Trump and his Putin obsession causes inflation. But now it's CBS News. Biden, Biden at 1 year. Not enough focus on inflation leaves many frustrated. Hmm. Many people frustrated. I mean, it's not really Biden's fault, even though his policies led to this. But let's continue. On one level, the story of President Biden's first year is a simple one. Americans feel worse about that's true in the economy than they did in his term, but economy than they did earlier in his term, and his ratings have suffered for it. On another level, it is a little bit more nuanced. They do not exclusively blame his policies. Oh yes, they do. Nobody knows what his policies are other than focusing on every single thing possible other than economic growth. Every single absurd protocol, everything possible other than economic growth. We don't they don't blame his policies. I mean, it's more nuanced. They just blame what they just upset things are happening. I mean, it's not Biden's fault. Of course, if Trump was president, he would have signed a demonic deal with Putin to ensure that inflation was rampant and our economy was still in the tank. But with Biden, that's not the case. Nobody blames Biden at all. I don't want that. Nobody blames Biden at all. It's not his fault. He's a Democrat after all. Why would it be his fault? The story of his first year evokes emotions too. Although most like, although most like Mr. Biden personally. What? Who likes Biden personally? Gosh, that mashed potato brains. I really want to have an Ensure with him. I want a tall glass of Yoo-hoo and Ensure with a wholesome man, salt of the earth, Biden. Right here, Biden. I'm here. This way, this way. Salt of the earth. What a good, wholesome person. What a wholesome, good person. Good, good, very good, wholesome, but never, no pay to play schemes, quid pro quo. Definitely, definitely that never happened. He made all his money from books and speaking engagements. Have you heard him speak? Yeah. What was the What is this word that made no sense? This word that Biden word, made up word. Biden's made up word. No, there's some other word that he. No, there's some word. Um, Biden word salad. What was that word? Oh yeah, yeah, it was M Woods. Uh, He couldn't pronounce. Wait, hold on one second. Hold on. Okay, so Biden word. Oh, what's the word? What is that word? Oh, under pressure. Where is that word? Okay, so hold on one second. Pressure word. Funny. Oh, okay, here. Here. Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second.
I'll lead it.
All right, hold on one second. All right, can you hear me now? All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Oh, what? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Could you hear that from dear leader? JG, hello. And this is totally fine. Do you understand? This is like totally fine. This is on this is on Trump's YouTube. This was on his way to. Listen to this again.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
What did he say? What does that mean? Could you hear that? What does that mean? What language is that? Is he speaking to aliens? Scott! Love your nickname, mashed potato brain. So perfect. He's unintelligible. Exactly. Exactly. Scott, thank you very much. To my super chat, thank you. Thank you, Scott. What does that even mean? He always looks like he has hay fever. He always looks like he's staring into a storm with like a windstorm with tumbleweeds flying at him. What does this mean? They keep on talking about Trump and oh my God, look at his personality. What does this mean? Joe Biden shouts gibberish. This is Trump. Scott, thank you again. Thank you, Scott. Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
I'll lead an effective strategy to pressure. Please the pressure. Oh, Everything's fair and neutral. Neutral and fair. Totally fair and balanced. Neutral. Fair and neutral primary. We'll leave it at that. No pressure. Ding dong. Ding dong.
True international effort to pressure.
Oh, what a good president. Oh, thank God we don't have Trump.
True international effort to pressure.
Pressure. Most Americans like Mr. Biden personally. Words like frustrated and disappointed top people's description. I'm just frustrated and disappointed. I mean, I'm not blaming Biden. I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, it's not like me and Trump, but then again, it's better than having Trump because we have crime rampant. It's like Mad Max in every major city. They're breaking into department stores like, all the time. Homeless population increases. Gas is exponentially greater. Food costs. Bacon is twice the price. Okay, but you know what, though? It's better that bacon is twice. Who needs all that cholesterol? Honestly. Who needs that cholesterol? It's not his fault. But what do I think of when I think of Biden's presidency? Not him. I like him. I like Biden. Frustrated? I'm frustrated. I'm not at him. I'm not frustrated at him. I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm distracted. I'm disappointed. Words like frustrated, disappointed. I'm just disappointed. Of course, it's not his fault. He's a good person. Along with feelings that he's distracted and not focused about what they care about. I just think he's not focused. Although I know that he's infinitely better than Trump because Trump is, the one of the signs of the apocalypse, and he is just a horrible monster from outer space. So it couldn't be. That's not Trump's fault. I mean, could you imagine this was? Can you imagine this is written about Trump? They propped this man up beyond all recognition. It's pretty unbelievable how Trump has better numbers now. He's got better numbers than mashed potato brains, and he doesn't have all of media. So
Mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Pressure. How do you, with a straight face, say that this man is better than Trump? Even before he won. How do you say that? How can anyone say this? That's why, like, when Trump made the statements, some of it was categorically true, like Biden's presidency is a disaster. And some of the things he said might not have had direct evidence or they could be deemed baseless, but at the same time, Democrats have made baseless allegations and then just appealed to intelligence operatives. Their entire lives are, well, John Brennan said this, and Clapper said this, and James Comey said this, and Mueller said this. Well, that doesn't mean anything. You're appealing to people who are operatives who side with you. If Trump appealed to intelligence operatives, they would say, well, those people were just compromised. All they care about is Trump's mean tweets. That's it. That's all they care about. Their whole lives revolve around mean tweets. That's it. Their entire lives revolve around mean tweets. That's all they care about. And that's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. And they don't realize that a great many people like Trump's personality. Sometimes he pushes the envelope, but so what? And so does Biden. Trump didn't say, well, you are not who you are if you don't vote for me. Trump never said that. So the thing with Trump is that, let's see if we can get Trump rally.
Did you know?
The MAGA movement is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country. There's never been any.
Wrong! Fact check! Fact check! Wrong! 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 It was never the greatest political movement. There were other great political movements. This is not even ranked by most people as the great political movement. That Trump lies. It lies so much.
And even the fake news doesn't dispute it. I say it all the time.
Wrong! All the news organizations think that Make America Great is a horrible movement. Definitely not the best. Wrong!
The fake news can't dispute it. That's a lot of fake news back there, too.
It's not true at all. There's not one organization called that. It's wrong. Trump and his lies. Trump is lying. He's lying right now. Can't you see it? Can't you see he's lying? Can't you see he's lying? He's lying.
Considering they can't stand me, that's a lot of news. They are just, you could save America. You could save America.
Wrong. Fact check. We cannot save America. See, who said that? There's no way that we could save America. Wrong.
But it's all about America first, great schools, good jobs, strong military, growing economy, and pride in our country. That's all we want.
That's not exactly true. Polls say otherwise. Climate change and infrastructure and other issues are just as important. Trump, he distorts the truth.
Together we're standing up against some of the most sinister forces, entrenched interests, and corrupt opponents that anyone on our shores has ever seen before.
Wrong. There have been more sinister efforts and entrenched opponents. What? Oh, no, I mean, no, there are actually no organizations that have been labeled as sinister by anyone. Lately, you know what? Trump is lying again.
But no matter how big or powerful the opposition may be, you must never forget our nation does not belong to them.
Fact check. The assumption that anyone would think the nation belonged to them is false, is a false premise. That is ridiculous. Another wrong thing Trump said. All he's done is lie.
Our nation belongs to you.
No, wrong. Fact check. It doesn't belong to anybody. In fact, nobody owns the country. Nobody owns the nation. In fact, what is a nation? A nation, in terms of sociology, is a group of people. I mean, nobody owns any group or... It's wrong. Trump, he's trying to speak to the horrible monsters again.
It's to you. And it belongs to you, Christina.
Fact check. It doesn't belong to Christina. Trump falsely claimed America belonged to Christina. Whoever Christina is. That was probably a code name. But it doesn't belong to any woman named Christina. If you, Christina, are watching, just remember that Trump was lying and trying to claim that you, Christina, own the country.
This is your home.
Wrong. Fact check. Wrong. It might not be your home. You might be visiting from Australia. You're wrong.
This is your heritage.
Wrong. My heritage. How do you know where my heritage is? I'm not even from here.
And our magnificent American liberty.
Wrong. It's never been magnificent. Ask Andrew Cuomo. It's never been great. America was never great.
Is your God-given right.
I'm an atheist. Wrong. Stephen Hawking. Sorry. Or no, Richard Dawkins.
From Phoenix to Tombstone, from Flagstaff to Florence, from Mesa to Yuma to the Red Rocks of Sedona.
They're not exactly red. They're more like crimson. Wrong. Fact check.
We stand on the shoulders of red-blooded American.
Nobody's standing on our shoulders. It's wrong. Fact check. Dun. Trump claimed people were standing on other people's shoulders. We spoke to podiatrists, and they said that that's not true. That actually nobody's feet were burdened by extra weight on the shoulders of people.
Patriots who poured out their heart, sweat, and soul for our country and for our freedom. This great state was settled by some of the toughest men and strongest women ever.
Wrong. Nobody. We spoke to sociologists and political scientists in Arizona, and that's not true. Actually, the people we spoke at Arizona State, the professors and Arizona University, said that they weren't that tough or strong. So that's not true.
Ever to walk the face of the earth.
Wrong. There have been more people who've been stronger and on the face of the earth, the whole earth. Please, Trump again. He's lying.
Arizona is where Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, they were tough.
Wrong. More people lived in Arizona than Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday. Fact check. Wrong again. Wrong.
Became American legends. It's where...
And they're not American legends to a lot of people. In fact, they were not. They were the opposite of legends.
The great American West became the American dream. And
Wrong. Biden has destroyed the American dream. It doesn't exist anymore. See, he's already lying again.
Arizona is the state where generations of pioneers and prospectors, miners and ranchers, cowboys and cattle hands, marshals and lawmen, tamed the frontier, braved the blazing sun.
Wrong. The sun was never blazing. Heat generated from the sun was never blazing in the sense of an actual blaze. Again, Trump is wrong. He's wrong on everything. He's wrong on everything. He lies all the time. He's a liar.
And showed the entire world how the West was won.
The West was never won. It was never won. It was never a football game. The West was won. It was never won.
So big, so important.
Not important.
They gave everything they had to make America into the greatest country in the history of the world.
It was never the greatest country in the history of the world. It's never been some kind of worldwide Olympics. It made America the greatest country in the world. Wrong. Fact check.
And we will never let any socialist or communist movement take that away from us.
Wrong. Biden is doing it right now. Fact check. We can go on forever. We can go on forever. Everything this man says, they will dissect into a million different pieces. Okay? Everything this man says, they will dissect into a million different pieces. And they will pretend that they are pure as the driven snow, while they still blame Russia for their problems. And while they lie all the time. All the time. Okay? So we can continue.
There is no mountain we cannot climb.
Wrong. There are many mountains that can't be climbed by humans. Trump, he lies so much.
There is no summit we cannot reach.
Wrong again. There are summits, many summits we can't reach. In fact, most people can't reach a whole lot of summits.
There is no challenge we cannot meet.
Wrong.
There is no victory we cannot have. As long as we remember that we are strong and proud and mighty Americans with
Simply thinking that you're strong and proud and mighty isn't going to allow you to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. We've already spoken to rock climbers, and we've spoken to geologists, and yes, there are summits that can't be climbed just with faith alone that you're strong and mighty. Again, fact check. Verdict false. 10 Pinocchios. Trump again lies.
faith in our hearts, grit in our souls, and courage
Wrong. There's no such thing as a soul. Wrong.
in our veins, and that's what you have.
We have blood running through veins, not courage. False.
We are the Americans who will make America great again. We are going to make America great again.
False. It's even better than ever with Biden. With record high inflation and crime and homelessness, it's fantastic. Janet, thank you so very much. Janet McGuffey, thank you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janet, to my super chat. Thank you.
We had already done it, and now we're going to have to do it again.
Wrong. You didn't do it the first time. You're not going to do it the last time. In fact, it's never going to happen again.
We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. We will stand proudly for our flag, and we will start talking about greatness for our country again.
Wrong. We spoke to Andrew Cuomo, and he said America was never great. Tyrannus, thank you. I appreciate your candor. You rock. Even though you're from the depths of Yes. Tyrannus. Cygnus, thank you. Thank you so very much. Tyrannus and Janet, thank you. Thank you so very much.
My fellow Americans, make America great again, and all that represents. And it has only just begun. We have only...
Wrong. It started in 2015, and it failed to make America great again. So wrong.
Just begun. Because we are one movement, one people, one family, and one...
Wrong. We have many different families. In fact, there are millions of different families in the country. Wrong.
One glorious nation under God.
There's no proof of that. We spoke to most Democratic voters. There's no proof of that at all.
And together, we will make America powerful again.
We're already powerful. We're supposed to. We have the #1 military in the world. We still have the same nuclear weapons that Trump had. We're just as powerful.
We will make America wealthy again.
We're wealthy. We're the wealthiest country in the world. We're still wealthy. Wrong. 10 Pinocchios. 20 Pinocchios. He's lying. He's lying. Don't vote for him. He's lying.
We will make America strong again.
We're still strong. Ma! So, you don't even have to read any more fact check of Trump from here on out. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Everything is an apoplectic fact check. And for Trump, for Biden, it's, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I mean, he was just a little off. Here's the thing. We're living in a world where we don't have the First Amendment anymore. We don't have the First Amendment because the people who run social media companies are generally liberal Democrats. And they're intimidated by a letter from Amy Klobuchar or Nancy Pelosi or any Democrat, any senator in Congress writing them saying that, well, you know what? You have to curtail this speech. And so everything that, like, if they have a whole summer full of chaos and mayhem and curfews and billions of dollars, $1 to $2 billion in property damage, that's just insurance claims. 25 lives lost. The speech of Democratic politicians, you could never correlate. You'll never be able to correlate. Submaster, thank you. You'll never be able to correlate the speech of Democratic politicians with violence or chaos or mayhem done by left-leaning, individuals. What they do is they correlate anything bad that takes place, and they say, this is Trump's fault, even though you might have had intelligence operatives, according to FBI testimony there, encouraging chaos and mayhem. So, and there needs to be a law. Like, you cannot just hide behind, well, it's sources and methods. Were you there that day? Can't tell you. I can't tell you. It's sources and methods. Well, I mean, how many people from your agency was there? Don't know. We can't tell you. Sources and methods. We don't know. We can't tell you. The sources and methods. How many agents were there that day? We can't tell you. Were there any agents there that day? I can't tell you. Okay. Why are you even here? Can't tell you. Do you exist? I can't. You can well understand we can't get into sources and methods. Did you come from outer space? Sources and methods. Are you a hologram? Sources and methods. We can't tell you. Thanks a lot. That's very nice of you. Thanks for the candid congressional testimony. And of course, it's Trump's words. Of course, it's all Trump's words. You know. Hey, you, hello. Of course, it's all Trump's words. You know what we need is Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney will be like Trump, but the complete and absolute opposite. But she'll be a Republican, so what's the problem? What's the problem? She would be the complete and absolute opposite of Trump, but, she did vote for Trump 90% of the time in Congress. But see, it's that 10% that people are voting for. That's why, I love liberal Democrats are like, take this little test that you have and see if you care about certain things. And if you care about certain things, you'll vote for Democrats. And it's like, there's probably, if you have Democrats and Republicans aligning on most issues or a lot of issues, but Democrats and Republicans both want to censor speech, are petrified of tariffs, leveling tariffs to China. If both Democrats and Republicans like Lincoln Project foreign policy, interventions, regime changes, then why would you vote for a never Trump Republican or a Democrat? You'd want to vote for Trump. But see, again, this is basic logic, but it's basic logic that would justify a decision that they find reprehensible. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. To my super chat, thank you. Hit subscribe to this channel, people. We're moving. We're almost at 192,000 subs. Let's get to 192,000 subs, everybody. Check out my Alec Baldwin segments today. They were very, very interesting, to say the least. We had great live streams for both. Eric, can't thank you enough. Eric and Luke. JG, everybody here, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening. Have a great week. And I will see you in the morning on